Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into the world of relationships,
A relationship?
but not just romantic ones. We're
Yeah.
talking about
All kinds.
all the connections that make your life better, And
Yeah.
you sent us some really fascinating stuff for this deep dive.
Yes.
And I'm excited to dig in.
I am too.
So,
The source you shared lays out what it calls the essential qualities for a strong relationship.
okay.
And it's almost like a blueprint.
Ooh, a blueprint for connection.
I like that.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin? Like what jumps out at you first from all this material?
Well, the source really emphasizes honesty and truth.
Yeah.
It actually calls truth the bedrock and
Right.
honesty the pillar of any strong relationship.
Okay. I can see why those are important.
Right.
But I mean,
Yeah.
don't those kind of mean the same thing? Why are both so crucial?
You're right.
Yeah.
They are very closely related, but the source seems to make a distinction.
It's suggesting that truth is like the underlying reality of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our values, our experiences, all that.
Right.
Honesty is how we express that truth.
Okay.
And when both are present,
Yeah.
it creates this environment of safety and transparency
Right.
that allows for real vulnerability.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like if you're always wondering
Right.
if someone is being straight with you,
Exactly.
you can't really let your guard down.
Yeah, without that bedrock of honesty,
Right.
any conflict or disagreement
Yeah.
can just feel like a threat to a whole relationship.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in situations where a lack of honesty just
Right.
destroyed trust.
Absolutely.
It's almost impossible to come back from
It's so hard.
that feeling of betrayal.
It's true. That's why the source puts so much emphasis on these qualities
Okay.
right from the start.
Yeah.
They're not just like nice to haves.
Yeah.
These are foundational.
Okay, so we've got honesty as the foundation. But what about love?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's got to be in there somewhere.
Right.
But the source's perspective on love is actually a lot broader
Okay.
than you might expect.
Interesting. So how
Yeah.
does it define love then?
Well, it talks about love as this like
Yeah.
compassion, empathy, and this unwavering commitment to the well-being of another
Yeah.
person, regardless of the relationship.
So it's saying that love shows up in our friendships, our family relationships,
Yes,
even at work.
precisely.
Okay.
And it argues that this wider view of love is crucial for a fulfilling life.
Okay, so if honesty is like the foundation,
Uh-huh.
maybe love is like the framing of the house.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's like it provides structure and support no matter what the relationship looks like.
It makes me think of the next quality
Okay.
that the source highlights, which is loyalty.
Ah, loyalty. See, I struggle with that one.
Really?
Yeah. Where do you draw the line between being supportive and just blindly following someone? Right. Even when they're wrong, the source defines it as unwavering commitment and support. But
Right.
how do we know when to challenge someone we care about?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people struggle with.
Right.
True loyalty
Yeah.
isn't about blind allegiance. It's about wanting what's truly best for that other person,
Mm-hmm.
even if it means having difficult conversations or
Right.
setting boundaries.
So it's more about being a true friend, like you were saying,
Exactly.
even when it's hard.
A loyal friend will celebrate your successes,
Yeah.
but also be honest with you when you're making a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's uncomfortable.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
It's about being supportive, but also having enough respect for the other person
absolutely.
to be honest with them.
And the source actually takes this idea of friendship a step further.
Okay.
It argues that friendship should be the foundation for all
Yeah.
relationships.
Even romantic ones.
Yes.
How does that even work?
It might seem counterintuitive
Yeah.
at first, but think about it.
Okay.
What are the qualities we value most in a friend?
You're like,
Shared interests,
shared interest.
mutual respect,
Yeah.
a sense of humor,
Right.
being able to just enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
Those are all things that make romantic relationships thrive too.
So you're saying that even in a marriage or a
Yeah.
romantic partnership,
Uh-huh.
having that element of friendship
Exactly.
is what makes it fun and resilient.
It's about being able to be yourselves with each other, to laugh together,
Yeah.
to support each other.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got honesty, love, and loyalty.
Yes.
What else is in this relationship blueprint?
Well, this is where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
The source acknowledges that even with all these positive qualities,
Yeah.
differences are inevitable.
Well, yeah. No, two people are exactly alike.
Right. But the source goes beyond just acknowledging
Okay.
that those differences exist.
Uh-huh.
It argues that we need to embrace them.
Embrace them. But what if those differences are like really big?
Yeah.
Like what if their values clash with mine? Can you really have a strong relationship then?
That's where the concepts of acceptance and understanding come in.
Okay.
They're crucial.
Right.
The source is being realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It knows there will be disagreements.
Right.
It's saying that if you have these other qualities as a base,
Yeah.
the honesty, the love, the loyalty,
Okay.
then you can actually use differences to make the relationship stronger.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So
Yeah.
how do we put those ideas into practice?
It starts with letting go of the need to change the other person.
Okay.
Acceptance is about recognizing and respecting their perspective,
Okay.
even if it's different from your own.
So it's about appreciating those differences rather than seeing them as problems to be solved.
Exactly.
Okay.
And along with acceptance comes understanding.
Okay.
It's about actively listening to each other,
Right.
making an effort to see the world through their eyes,
Yeah.
and really trying to understand their feelings.
It's like building a bridge
Yes.
between two different islands.
That's a great analogy.
Right. Each island is unique,
Yeah.
but the bridge lets you travel between them.
Understanding creates that bridge.
Okay.
It allows us to navigate disagreements with compassion
Yeah.
and find that common ground even when our viewpoints differ.
Okay, so we've talked about accepting and understanding differences.
Yes.
But how do we create a sense of unity?
Right.
Especially if we're acknowledging that those differences will always be there.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
The source talks about unity as this strength that binds individuals together.
Okay.
It's not about erasing our individualities,
Right.
but finding ways to blend them together,
Okay.
make something stronger and more resilient.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like taking two different colors of paint and mixing them to make a new shade.
Exactly. Unity doesn't mean uniformity.
Right.
It's about celebrating our differences while also working together towards something bigger than ourselves.
So it's about recognizing that our differences aren't a threat to the relationship, but actually make it stronger.
Exactly. And that brings us to one of the most powerful concepts in the source.
Okay.
Unselfish love.
Unselfish love.
Yeah.
Isn't that just another way of saying selfless?
It's easy to think so.
Yeah.
But the source is subtle here.
Okay.
It defines unselfish love as the essence of giving without expecting anything in return.
Okay.
But it's also about setting healthy boundaries.
Right.
It's not about sacrificing yourself or your needs constantly for the other person.
I never thought about it that way. So how do we know when we're being unselfish versus just letting ourselves be taken advantage of?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that we'll explore more deeply
Okay.
as we continue this deep dive.
All right.
But think of it this way.
Okay.
Unselfish love in a romantic relationship might look like supporting your partner's career dreams,
Okay.
even if it means making temporary sacrifices yourself.
Yeah.
In a friendship, it might be showing up for a friend who's going through a hard time, even if you're busy.
Right.
These are acts of generosity and care
Yeah.
that ultimately strengthen the bond.
Those are great examples. I'm already seeing how much I can learn from this blueprint for relationships.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The source seems to be saying that relationships are less about finding the perfect person and more about learning to navigate the inevitable complexities that come with connecting with another human being.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And speaking of complexities,
Yes.
I was struck by how the source talks about incompatibility.
Oh, yeah.
It almost feels like a contradiction
Right.
to be talking about acceptance and unity
Yeah.
and then throw in incompatibility.
I see what you mean. It might seem jarring.
Yeah.
But I actually think it's a sign of how realistic this source is.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
How many relationships have you seen fall apart
Oh, plenty.
because people just couldn't reconcile their differences?
Yeah, but is this source suggesting that incompatibility doesn't have to be a deal breaker?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
acknowledging that differences are inevitable.
Right.
And sometimes those differences might be pretty significant.
Yeah.
But it's also saying that strong relationships aren't about finding someone
Right.
who agrees with you on absolutely everything.
Okay.
They're about learning to navigate those differences
Right.
with respect and understanding.
So it's like instead of trying to force the pieces of a puzzle together,
Yes.
we need to figure out how they actually fit,
Exactly.
even if it's not the picture we had in mind.
That's a fantastic analogy.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our partner's perspective is just as valid as our own,
Okay.
even if it's different.
Yeah.
And that requires a willingness to be flexible, to compromise, and to sometimes agree to disagree.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all this ties together.
Yeah.
We need that foundation of honesty and love
Absolutely.
to feel safe enough to even have these conversations
Yeah.
about our differences.
Right.
And then loyalty comes in, not as blind agreement,
Right.
but as that commitment to sticking it out,
Yes.
even when things get tough.
It's like building a house.
Okay.
You need a strong foundation,
Right.
supportive framing, and then the walls and the roof
Yeah.
that can withstand the storms.
Right.
Incompatibility is like those inevitable cracks
Okay.
that appear over time.
Uh-huh.
But if the structure is sound,
Yeah.
those cracks don't have to bring the whole house down.
This is blowing my mind.
It is.
I always thought that the goal was to find someone who completes you.
Yeah.
But this source is saying that relationships are more about two whole individuals.
Yes.
Figuring out how to build something amazing together.
I think you've hit the nail on the head.
Okay, good.
And that brings us to another concept.
All right.
That's often misunderstood.
Okay. Unity. Right. The source talks about unity being really important for relationships.
Right.
But how do we create that sense of unity while also respecting our individuality? Isn't there a risk of losing yourself in a relationship if you focus too much on being a unit?
That's such a great question.
Yeah.
And it's something a lot of people worry about.
Right.
But true unity isn't about erasing our individualities.
Okay.
It's about finding a way to blend them together to create something stronger and more resilient.
So it's not about becoming clones of each other,
No.
but about finding a way to complement each other's strengths.
Exactly.
And support each other's weaknesses.
It's about recognizing that you're two separate people with your own unique thoughts and feelings and experiences.
Right.
But it's also about recognizing that you're choosing to share your life with this person.
Okay.
To walk side by side on a journey together.
That makes me think of a hiking analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Like you might be carrying different packs, taking slightly different paths,
Uh-huh.
but you're both headed toward the same destination.
Yes.
And you're supporting each other.
Exactly.
Along the way.
And just like on a hike,
Yeah.
there will be times when one person needs to take the lead.
Right.
And times when the other needs to offer support. Unity is about finding that balance.
Okay.
About trusting each other.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're both committed to reaching that destination together.
Okay. I'm totally on board with this idea of unity.
Good.
But it also makes me think about the concept of unselfish love.
Oh, yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
That's a great segue.
Yeah.
Because unselfish love is, in many ways, the fuel that keeps that engine of unity running.
Okay.
Remember, the source defines unselfish love as giving without expectation of return.
Right.
But it's not just about grand gestures or sacrifices. It's about the everyday acts of kindness, consideration, and support that show your partner you're truly there for them.
So it's about those little things.
Yeah.
Like making them coffee in the morning.
Exactly.
Or offering to help with a chore even when you're tired.
It's about choosing to put their needs before your own.
Okay.
Not in a way that depletes you.
Right.
But in a way that feels authentic and loving.
Yeah.
And when both partners are practicing unselfish love, it creates this beautiful cycle of giving and receiving that strengthens the bond between them.
It's like you're both contributing to a shared well of love and support.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And that well of love is also what helps sustain the relationship through the inevitable changes and challenges.
Yeah. Relationships aren't static.
Right.
People change, circumstances change.
Absolutely.
Sometimes those changes can be pretty dramatic.
And that's where the concept of embracing growth comes in. The source emphasizes that relationships need to be dynamic and ever-evolving to stay healthy.
Okay.
It's not enough to just find someone who makes you happy now.
Yeah.
You also need to be able to support each other's individual journeys of growth.
Okay. I can see how individual growth is important.
Yeah.
But how do we make sure that growth benefits the relationship rather than pulling it apart?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's something that every couple has to figure out for themselves. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
But I think the key is to approach growth with open communication.
Okay.
A willingness to compromise. And a deep respect for each other's autonomy.
So it's about recognizing that our partner's journey might look different from our own.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean we can't walk alongside them,
Right.
offering support and encouragement along the way.
And it's about being willing to have those tough conversations,
Yeah.
to adjust our expectations,
Mm.
and to sometimes make sacrifices to support each other's dreams and aspirations.
It's like tending a garden, isn't it?
Ooh, that's nice.
We need to give each other space to grow and flourish,
Yeah.
but we also need to prune away the dead branches
Right.
and provide the necessary nutrients to thrive.
That's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah.
And it highlights the fact that relationships require ongoing effort,
Right.
attention,
Yeah.
and a willingness to adapt to change. They're not something we can just set and forget.
So if we want our relationships to be truly strong and fulfilling,
Yes.
we need to be willing to put in the work,
Absolutely.
to nurture them,
Yeah,
and to allow them to evolve and grow alongside us.
exactly. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy,
Yeah.
but the rewards are immeasurable.
Right.
When we invest in our relationships, when we nurture those connections,
Mhm.
we create a source of love, support, and joy
Yay.
that can enrich our lives in countless ways.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
Me too.
It's like this source has given us a whole new lens for looking at relationships.
I agree. It's a reminder that relationships are more than just romantic love
Right.
or fleeting friendships.
Mhm.
They're the foundation of our lives,
Yeah.
the source of our greatest joys and our deepest sorrows.
Right.
And if we want those relationships to thrive,
Yeah.
we need to approach them with intentionality,
Okay.
respect, and a deep understanding
Right.
of the complexities of human connection.
So where do we go from here? What's the first step?
That's a wonderful question.
Yeah.
And I think the first step is simply awareness.
Okay.
Becoming aware of the qualities that contribute to strong relationships, of the challenges that we're likely to face,
Right.
and of the tools and strategies
Yeah.
that we can use to navigate those challenges effectively.
So it's about taking this knowledge and
Yeah.
applying it to our own lives,
Exactly.
to our own relationships.
And it's about being willing to have those tough conversations, to
Yeah.
challenge ourselves,
Yeah.
and to be open to learning and growing, both individually and as a couple.
It's about recognizing that relationships are a journey, not a destination.
Beautifully said.
And that journey, with all its ups and downs,
Yes.
is what makes life so rich and meaningful.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah, I love that perspective. It really feels like it's about shifting our mindset, you know?
Yeah.
It's moving away from this whole idea of,
Right.
Finding the one.
The one.
And more towards
Yeah.
really understanding how to cultivate a strong connection,
Exactly.
no matter what kind of relationship it is.
I think that's a really insightful observation.
Yeah.
Yeah. This source doesn't offer a quick fix
Right.
or a magic formula.
Right.
It's more about
It's giving us
providing a framework.
a way to think about it.
Yeah, for thinking about relationships in a more nuanced and realistic way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm curious to hear what you think about something that the source mentions towards the end, which is the idea of nurturing the connection.
Okay.
What are some things we can actually do to make sure we're not just going through the motions?
That's such an important question because it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day
Right.
and forget to tend to the connections that matter most.
Totally.
Nurturing the connection really comes down to
Okay.
being intentional
Yeah.
with our time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making a conscious effort to prioritize the people we care about.
Okay. So it's not just about grand gestures
No.
or, expensive gifts.
It's about the little things,
Yeah.
the everyday actions
Yeah.
that show someone we're thinking about them and that we value them.
All right. Exactly.
It's those little things,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sending a text to check in
Uh-huh.
or,
Offering a listening ear.
yeah, or planning a special activity that, they would love. It's about those small acts of kindness
Yeah.
that remind someone that they're loved and appreciated.
I love that. It's like those little deposits you make in the emotional bank account
That's a great analogy.
of the relationship.
Yeah.
They might seem small on their own, but they add up
They do.
to a sense of security and connection.
And it reminds me of something else the source emphasizes.
Okay.
The importance of quality time.
Oh, quality time. We
Yeah.
hear that all the time.
Right. Make time for your loved ones.
Well, what does that actually look like?
Right.
Especially today when everyone is so busy and distracted.
Quality time is about being truly present with someone,
Okay.
free from distractions. It's about putting down our phones, turning off the TV, and really focusing.
Easier said than done.
Oh.
It's so easy to get sucked into our screens.
It's true. But the more we practice being present,
Yeah.
the easier it becomes.
Right.
It's about making that choice. To put aside those distractions and to give someone our undivided attention.
Right. Even if it's just for a few minutes.
Like,
those moments of connection
make all the difference.
can make a world of difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about something you said earlier about shared values and goals.
Yeah.
How important is it for couples to be aligned on that stuff? And what happens when our values or goals start to change? Can those relationships still work?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a simple answer.
Right.
Having shared values and goals can definitely make things easier.
Right.
It provides that sense of common purpose and direction.
Yeah.
But it's also important to remember that people evolve over time.
Right.
Our values and goals might shift.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So it's not necessarily a deal breaker.
Exactly.
If our paths don't perfectly align.
The key is to approach those differences with respect, understanding, and a willingness to compromise. You know, it's about finding a way to support each other's journeys, even if they look a little different.
Right. And that goes back to what we were talking about before with acceptance and understanding.
Yes.
And, that ability to navigate incompatibility.
Absolutely. All of these concepts are interconnected.
Yeah.
They work together to create that strong and resilient foundation for a relationship that can weather the storms of life.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
I feel like I'm walking away with a whole new toolbox
I love that.
for my relationships. But before we wrap up, is there one final thought
Sure.
you want to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important takeaway from this whole deep dive is that relationships are a gift.
Okay.
But they're also a responsibility.
Right.
They require effort, attention, and a willingness to show up for each other.
Right.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah.
But the beauty is that the more we invest, the more we get back in return.
That's so true. It's like anything else in life worth having. It takes dedication and commitment.
It does.
But you're right. Those connections are what make life so rich and meaningful.
Beautifully said.
Well, on that note, it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into the foundations of relationships.
Okay.
Thank you all for joining us on this journey.
Yes. Thank you.
We hope you've learned some valuable insights that you can apply to your own lives.
Absolutely.
Remember, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself.
That's true.
So take care of your own needs, nurture your own growth, and then go out and build those strong, meaningful connections with the people that matter most. Thanks for listening.